Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to look at some of our world's biggest, most interesting puzzles. You can think of them like giant homework problems that all the grown-ups are trying to figure out. And you know what the best part is? We get to learn about them, and even see how we can help together. So, you ready? Let's get started. But before we dive in, I want you to think for just a second. What do you think are some of the world's biggest puzzles right now? Maybe you've heard about some on the news or talked about them in school. It's a huge question, I know, and today we're going to explore some of the answers.
All right, here is our lesson plan for today. We're going to see what happens when people disagree. Then we'll talk about something called our Earth's fever. After that, we'll meet the people who help make peace and cool down our planet. And then, the best part, we'll see how you can be a helper too.
Okay, let's jump right into our first big puzzle. What happens when people disagree? This is about a really important word, conflict. Let's take a closer look at what it really means. So, what is a conflict? Well, you can think of it like a really, really big argument. It's when people, or sometimes even whole countries, disagree so much that they actually start to fight. And sadly, that can lead to things like wars, which hurt a lot of people who didn't do anything wrong, especially kids. To understand this a little better, let's look at a real-world example. In a country called Nigeria, there's a group called Boko Haram. They have caused a lot of conflict because they believe everyone in the country should follow their specific rules and laws. And that really strong disagreement has led to a lot of fighting. And this just shows you how serious and sad a conflict can get. These were real children, students just like you, who were taken away from their school. It's a really powerful reminder of why it's so important to find peaceful ways to solve our disagreements. Now, when a conflict like this makes it too dangerous for people to stay where they live, they have to leave everything behind just to find a safe place. We call these people refugees. Can you imagine having to leave your home, your toys, all your friends, just to look for safety? Refugees often end up in special places called refugee camps. Now, people go there to be safe, and that's the most important thing. But life there can be incredibly hard. A lot of the time, there just isn't enough food or clean water, or even schools and doctors' offices for everyone who needs them. Okay, let's move on to our next big puzzle. This one isn't about people fighting with each other. Nope, this is a challenge that affects every single one of us, no matter where we live. It's almost like our planet, our Earth, has a fever. We call this fever global warming. And here's a good way to think about it. Imagine our planet is wrapped up in a nice, cozy blanket of air. But all the pollution we're creating is making that blanket thicker and thicker. And just like a heavy blanket traps your body heat, this thicker air blanket traps the sun's heat, making the whole Earth slowly get warmer and warmer. So what's making that blanket thicker? Well, it's mostly things that we do. When we burn fuels like gasoline in cars or coal to make electricity, that creates pollution. Also, when we cut down way too many trees, which are amazing at cleaning the air, that makes the problem worse. Even some funny-sounding gases from things like old refrigerators can add to it. It's also pretty interesting to see where all this pollution comes from. If you look at this chart, it shows that just one country, the United States, makes a whole quarter, that's 25%, of the pollution causing global warming. So while lots of countries are part of the problem, some create a much bigger piece of it. So why is this a big deal? Why does it matter if the planet gets a little bit warmer? Well, it causes huge changes. The ice way up at the North Pole and way down at the South Pole starts to melt. All that water makes the oceans rise, which can flood cities. And in other places, it means less rain, so it's harder to grow food. It can even let new germs and bugs spread around. Whew, we've talked about some big, tough puzzles, right? But here's the good news. There are lots and lots of amazing people, we can call them helpers, who are working really hard to solve them. First, let's meet the peacemakers. Here are some of the world's most important peacemakers. The United Nations and the African Union are kind of like big clubs, where countries can get together and work out their arguments peacefully. And the International Court of Justice, that's kind of like a super judge for the whole world, helping everyone make fair decisions. But you know what the best solution of all is? Stopping fights before they even begin. And we can do that by making sure every country has fair laws, where everybody is treated the same and has the same rights. When people feel like things are fair, there are way fewer reasons to get into a big fight. So what about our planet's fever? Well, just like with conflicts, there are tons of helpers with really smart ideas to help cool the Earth down. Let's check out some of their awesome solutions. Cars are a big piece of the puzzle. And this slide shows 5 great ideas to help. We can build better engines that don't need as much gas. We can use cleaner types of fuel. We can all try to use buses and trains more. The grown-ups can make stricter rules about pollution. And this one's my favorite. We can invent cool new cars that run on electricity. How neat is that? We've heard about world leaders and scientists and all these big groups. But you know what? The most important helper we're going to talk about today is you. Yep, this last part is all about how every single one of us can be part of the solution. And here's the really amazing thing. You don't have to be a grown-up, you don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be a world leader to make a difference. These puzzles are so big that they need everyone's help. Every little smart choice we make adds up to something really huge. Everyone has a part to play. So I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. After everything we've talked about today, what's one small, helpful thing you can do for our world? It can be something tiny, but what's your first step to being part of the solution? Thanks for learning with me today, everyone.